Why aren't they talking about the released hostages? Why aren't they talking about the dog that came out untouched? Why aren't they talking about the letter that literally broke the internet? What about the bye, Maya? Bye. Shukran. Why aren't they talking about why the hostages refuse to talk to Bibi Netanyahu? Or why they are not allowed to talk to the press? Israel lost the propaganda game.
What about the dog that came out untouched? What about the dog that came out untouched? Use that argument now. I dare you. Use that argument now. That's a dog that came out of Dachau untouched next to a person that was a prisoner in that concentration camp. That picture was taken after the camp was liberated by the Allied troops. So go on, use that argument now. That dog came out untouched, so that means the prisoners at Dachau were treated. Go on, give me the last word. I dare you. And the video with Hamas and hostages, waving goodbye to each other and all that, that's already been debunked as Hamas propaganda, because when you play the video without a sound overlay on it, you can hear the Hamas soldiers giving the hostages instructions, telling them to smile, telling them to wave. And I find it funny that you mentioned that letter that broke the internet, that letter that could have been written by anyone at any time. But when statements come out from the families of people who were held hostage in Gaza talking about how poorly they were treated, that's Israeli propaganda. When there is a face-to-face interview with a medical professional talking about the bodies, especially the female bodies that she had seen, Israeli women's bodies that she had seen, and how much they'd been violated and abused and all sorts of disgusting stuff, that's propaganda. When there's a telephone interview on France 24 with a British doctor who worked at the Al-Shifa hospital talking about the tunnels, that is Israeli propaganda. When there's drone footage of the tunnels underneath the hospital, that is Israeli propaganda. But when there's a letter completely anonymous, or as far might as well be completely anonymous, none of us know who wrote it, anyone could have sat there and written it, that's real. Like I've said before, arguing with these people is like playing chess with a pigeon. They'll shit all over the board and strut around like they won anyway. And as for the released hostages not talking to the press, if you had just gone through what would probably have been the most traumatic, frightening and disturbing experience of your life, you get reunited with your families at last, you may well need hospital treatment, you're going to be suffering massively mentally, maybe physically as well. Is your thought really going to be, let's go and speak to the press about this? And like I've said before, a lot of the time they might not be allowed to speak to the press, or they might be too frightened to tell their truth, the real accounts of what the treatment was like there, because they may well still have friends and family there, trapped as hostages. And bear in mind, there are still a lot of hostages there. So Israeli media might not want to release information about how poorly the hostages are treated, because that will cause distress to the families who still have hostages in captivity. Honestly, man, some of these people that I see on the internet, it's like the lights are on, the gates are down, but the train ain't fucking coming, is it?
Thanks for watching, Egghead Chris. Bye.